Okay, we now call the Scott County work session to order. And first thing on the agenda is Emergency Service Committee, Ernest Phillips, Chair.
Call Emergency Service Committee to order. David Blue Day. Here. Ken Chadwell. Danny Brown.
Here.
Sam Miles.
Here.
Oliver Brown.
Here.
Rick Burke. First gonna be emergency management. Tracy, I don't see you. Tracy.
Tracy Jeffers,
Well, come on.
If you would, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say a few words for Tracy. He's got all the details. I just want to kind of bring everybody up to speed as to what we're talking about. About 14 years ago, the county, for emergency management, got a grant to buy repeater sites, repeaters for communications. I think it's for emergency, for ambulance service, police department, and fire department. They did a topographical survey, and we ended up putting all, we're going to discuss it in the fire department tonight. But they put these, one at Robbins up above the school, behind the school. They put one in Huntsville, and they put one up near, I believe it's up near your all's radio site up there in the Oneida area, I believe, there where the HIV is. The money for that grant came from the Homeland Security System. And what it amounted to is we put in 3 repeater sites. The repeater sites are set up where they operate. Whenever they go out, they can talk throughout the county. And if they go out and they need help, they can call somebody up in either Winfield, Huntsville, or whatever, just from their little handheld radios. The problem we have right now is one of the tower, the site down at Robbins got hit by a lightning. And what it's done, they were able to fix some of it. Terry's got the bill, Tracy's got the bill for that. And but what you have is you have AC power coming in from Plateau Electric, and you have 2 24-volt batteries that will pick up if the AC goes out. So if the AC goes out, batteries kick in. There's a piece of equipment between the AC and the DC power that does that conversion and switches it. What we've lost is that piece of equipment that does the switching. So if anything happened right now to the AC power coming from Plateau Electric, that station is dead. And the 3 repeaters, we got about 85% coverage of the county. And without that one repeater site, what have we got?
Well, it cuts the south end down dramatically. If I can, I'll give you a little information about radios. Radio waves travel line of sight. And what a repeater is, for the simplification, it's just a booster. This is a 5-watt radio. If I were to try to talk to this, it'll reach about 1.5 miles on its own. Because it's just 5 watt, not very powerful. But these repeaters, they're about 3 foot square in these buildings around here. As soon as I key this mic, that repeater picks that signal up and it boosts it up to 100 watts. And when it does that, it'll allow me to stand at the county line down there and talk to Winfield up there, the fire department, at the state line. But without those repeaters, it's impossible. So that's the base of the repeaters. And when I helped design the system, I wanted to get as much coverage as possible. So I worked with Motorola, and they created me some color-coded maps which would predict the coverage we could get. I went to each site and got GPS locations. And they took those GPS coordinates and made us some maps that would show how much coverage we could possibly get. And it was, after we looked at them, we figured it was about 70%. But when we got the system in, it worked so well, we figured we got about 85% coverage. And that's really phenomenal considering the topographical area that we have around here. Ridges will knock a radio signal off. I mean, Rick is much knowledgeable about these as I am. And these repeaters are so critical. Once we lose one, now we can change channels and talk to this one up here on John Hall Flats. This is called the John Hall Flats repeater, and it's up here at the TV antenna. Comcast was gracious enough to let us put that repeater in there. Rescue Squad's got one in there. EMS has got one in there. Now these systems, when the repeaters are working properly, it's a great system. Very few places you can take a 5-watt radio and talk from one end of the county to the other. And that was just kind of give you an explanation, and Sam so happily explained. These batteries are a backup system until you can get a radio technician in there to fix whatever problem there is. Now, over the years, these batteries, the Firefighters Association has paid for them. They're $1,200 a piece, and they're gel-type sealed batteries. They're good batteries, they'll last long. And when that system goes out, we have to change our channels and talk to this one up here on Comcast's TV tower. But that limits, since that tower's so high up there, the radio signals go way higher. If you get down in the lower sections of the county, you need one with a tower lower, so if you get in an area that's got a lot of hollows, you're more apt to be able to communicate. And right now, as Sam explained, to fix that one at Robbins, the reason I halted the maintenance on it, I called, it was down for 3 days, and I didn't know what was wrong with it. So I called the radio tech over here. He says it's been hit by lightning. Well, there's a lot of very expensive parts in these repeaters. And the transformer module that changes the electricity from 110 volt, like your house current, over to the 24 volts like he explained, that module is burned out. And it cost $1,800. And I was not willing to take it on myself to authorize him to put that in there because I didn't know who was going to pay for it, quite frankly. I knew the fire departments didn't have the money to pay for it. So that's why I'm here. This is something that the county needs to oversee. For the last 14 years, I've took care of that system. I've went around and unplugged them, make sure the emergency batteries work, because I wanted it to work real well, because I've worked a lot of years on it. But I've come to the point that I'm not physically able to take care of them anymore, and you need someone in there that has the authority to call that radio technician over here to fix that, and you'll know where the bill's going to be paid from. Now, to get the repeater down at Robbins back up and running, it cost $737, and I didn't know where that money was going to come to. I figured I'd have to figure out a way to get paid. But I was willing to go that route just to get the repeater back on its line. But I was not willing to authorize him to put an $1,800 part on there, not knowing where the funds were going to come from. So that's basically where we are. This is all county equipment. I know because I put your stickers on them. Each repeater has got your county property sticker on it. And EMA should have records of those. The sticker numbers and everything. I took pictures of them. But we've come to the point, we've never had one over the past 14 years struck by lightning. And I never thought about it. This is something that should have been taken care of back when you first got the grant. And I'll take part fault for that, because I just immediately started taking care of them myself. So they didn't want nobody else fooling with them. I knew more about them other than the radio technician did. But now we've come to the point that we may have another one struck by lightning in the future, and how we're going to pay for that. What I want to do here tonight is create a long-term solution to where this doesn't come up again, I don't have the authority to authorize a $3,000 or $4,000 repair bill on one of these repeaters. And I'm not gonna accept that authority, since I don't have it through the county commission. So what you need to do is replace me in a position of kind of babysitting with them, and it's not a big job. You just have to go around, and I can get access to Comcast. I've got keys for the south end, I can get access to the Oneida Tower, they're all fenced in. We've got our own buildings, the buildings belong to the county, with the exception of the John Hall Flats. Now, the repeater in the John Hall Flats building, the building actually belongs to Comcast. But the other two repeaters at Roberts and Oneida, they're in our own building, inside Oneida's fenced-in enclosure. So that's basically where we're at.
Thank you, Tracy. Somehow, we need to put some money into our operation and maintenance for this system. I think, Ginger, you correct me if I'm wrong, I guess the one for the sheriff's department, that's probably in their operating budget. The ambulance, I'm not sure where that one is. Is the ambulance operating budget?
I'm sure it is.
Okay. So, since we're dealing with the fire departments, which are all volunteers, then we have to have a little bit different arrangement, I think, where somebody in county government is responsible for caretaking of that system, and we're responsible for putting maintenance money in it, whatever that we decide that has to be. And you keep in mind, this system's been operating for 14 years, and this is really the first time we've had too much trouble as far as the actual equipment itself. Is that right, Tracy?
That's correct.
So, I mean, that's phenomenal that you've got equipment that lasts that long, I understand, because most people build in obsolescence, and you have to replace it about every 10 years. But anyway, I think that's where we sit tonight. We need a recommendation to fund paying for that part to get the system back completely up. It's up right now, but just on regular AC power.
I have a question, since this is county, homes, and it was struck by lightning, do we have insurance to cover that?
We might have that option to go there.
So deductible, you know our deductible is
500.
500.
I think that would be a
Might be an option.
good way to do it.
Well, can Wendy take care of this?
I have no money in my budget.
Well, I'm not talking about money, I'm not talking about money right now.
You with radio. But I'm not a radio technician. I do not know anything about repeaters, radios, or anything, because I'm not a radio tech.
Gene, what's the chances of now on one board possibly taking over?
I always check and see if one of them will want to take that on. I don't know.
Well, the immediate problem is
Fixing it.
the money to fix what broke. And then we need to decide as a body perhaps, the best way to go forward for maintaining, having a point of contact
Have we got money to
for
pay?
the system.
You'll have to.
Money.
Because the point of contact for the system is not going to go in there and fix it.
That's the 905.
They're just gonna call somebody to fix it.
That's great.
Insurance.
And so what we need, if we get insurance or whatever, then the insurance will pay for it. Or we have to have a certain amount each year put into the budget for possible problems.
Well, there's not an option, it's gotta be fixed, period, it's just a matter of whether it needs to come out of since it does service the animal service, sheriff's department, fire departments, which are volunteers having money to do that with. We just gotta figure out where it's going to go, bring the money out of. So,
I
I guess have to get a police report filed for insurance.
But Tracy had mentioned that this is the only time really this has ever happened, but the fact of the matter is, batteries go bad. Batteries have to be replaced from time to time. So, you know, there is always some maintenance, there is somebody that's gotta go check on these things. So,
Let me stress something else, I'm sorry, Rick. And sometimes you need to look forward to the future. I don't know that this will be the last time one gets struck by lightning, you know. And as I say before, there's parts inside those repeaters that cost $900 to $1,000 a piece. And you may go another 12 years and it not cost anything other than batteries every 5-6 years. Say $1,200. That's what we paid, was $1,200 for 6 batteries. Each location has got 2 batteries as backup systems.
You pay them out of the fire hall, or do they actually?
The Firefighters Association paid for the batteries for the last 14 years.
So that comes out of Nashville or wherever?
No,
The local fire.
No, it comes, each fire department has dues that they pay the Firefighters Association. It's $100 a year. So they've got $800 a year coming in. Now, it's a strain on them, no more income they've got coming in to pay for these batteries.
Tracy, you said as far as maintenance, it's a matter of going through and just unplugging and checking the units from time to time. And if there is a problem, then all it is a phone call.
Correct.
Correct? Could you not just do that and make that it looks like that would fall under your department there.
I mean, I can talk to Todd Overbay because I do not want to mess anything up. If I go in there and hit the wrong button, you know what I'm trying to say?
Right
I don't
there's a
want
man
to.
that's been taking care of it for years. And he's
Well,
advised me.
I would be more than happy to go to each site and introduce, I've already talked to Comcast. They know that I'm gonna be replaced, and, they've already gave me, I know one of the supervisors, and he's already given me a number to call in case they need to get into the Comcast building up here. So, I can assist her, it's not a big job, it's just like Rick says, you unplug it, if you unplug it and the unit still runs, you know your batteries are kicked on. If it don't, then you got a battery problem, either batteries are dead, or you've got some electrical part that's keeping that battery system from powering the unit up.
It's more of an issue of just having someone to drive through and check them.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
check and call.
And you don't have to go up there unless you've got a problem, you know, sometimes I wouldn't go up there for 5 or 6 months. Didn't need to, that'll work. But I did do that to make sure, should we have, since all the weather's changing, if we have a lot of tornadoes and the power were to go out, those emergency systems are critical, especially if we've got crews out on these roads cutting trees off the roads for the power company. Now, that's what we did back in '93. I had 5 crews out there with saws cutting trees off the road so the power company could get into these areas and restore power.
Ms. Ginger, could you find out by Monday, the finance committee meeting about insurance possibly? See
Yeah.
if that's an option, and then bring it up to finance about, because we know the money, there's only one way, only one place where the money's gonna come from.
Yeah, if they can get the documents to us as final report, we'll submit it to our insurance company and find out what the requires.
And then if they don't do it, then we can take action, just stay with the finance meeting about this money.
That's really a good idea because of the fact that you never know how much damage lightning and it kind of hurt me, I'll be honest with you. I asked Todd, the rail technician, I said, we got lightning protection. I said, how come we got so much damage? And he said, Tracy said, the only way you can really protect against lightning is to unplug it from the wall. So, I guess if you get a big enough surge of lightning, you know, it can go through the lightning protection and kill it and whatever else. But the idea that the insurance is the best route is the fact that you don't know how much damage might occur should lightning occur. Or should a tree fall on our buildings. There's 2 or 3 occurrences that could happen.
You had 2 of those that's already burned,
I'm sorry.
How many you say you already had mixed up on that?
Just one repeater is down, that's the one down there in Robbins.
Okay.
The rest of them, as far as I know, are operating properly.
How many you got there on this three, four, what do you?
The batteries,
Yeah, for that and,
oh, you mean on the money wise? I'm sorry, Ernest, I didn't know.
the hot top of that,
You got the animal service, sheriff's
Yeah.
department, and the fire department.
run through the same.
They all went through the same.
They're actually, the only one that's located at Robbins is the fire service. Now, up at John Hall Fast, we got the rescue squad, we got the ambulance service, we got the fire service. Oneida, we got the rescue, we got the EMS and fire service. So there's
Make a
actually,
motion, then, when you make the motion on this, so we can move on and at least get it started.
I think Ginger's gonna check in on the insurance option, and if that doesn't come through, then we can take action at the finance committee meeting on Monday to send it to full commission.
Yeah, and I think the only other thing we need to do is have somebody in the county government responsible for checking those sites and calling maintenance people if it's required. I think somebody in the county government should be doing that, not individual fire departments.
Todd Overbay, the one that comes and works on them when they're correct.
yes, Mr. Mayor, that's correct. That's why I said you need someone that's got authority
What's gonna happen, get it
to
going.
give him a call.
Decide who's gonna do that first. As far as the money wise, we just take no action right now till Monday night.
We need to do this one of those, it's going to be trying to help on whatever on that.
No problem.
Oh, and you want volunteers for my check?
I mean, I can get Todd Oakley over here and Tracy can, I mean, I don't know what I'm doing.
Tracy show, yeah.
Just like I said, I don't wanna mess anything up, if that's okay with the mayor for me to do that.
We just don't, you don't want to talk to Todd every time, you just want to charge him, he's going to deal with the air and come over.
Todd?
Well, I'd say if you get those radio, we used to go to the west side radio level, Knoxville, and they'll do the same thing. They'll charge you from the time you leave Knoxville to the time they get back.
That's
And that's
why,
nothing but labor.
that's why Sam's saying we need somebody in county government to, because if you get Todd to come over, when he leaves, he's going to charge you.
I think she was just talking about just to show her, make sure she knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
Her training, I think, so she.
How often do you actually have to go check those things?
Like I say, every 5-6 months.
So it's not a.
Oh, it's not- it's
Not a humongous
nothing.
job here, we're just.
No, but I wanna make sure I'm doing it right.
Oh, I understand, and
Yeah, and I'll be really explanatory, I'm sorry, to Wendy, it's not that big a deal. You know, I can teach anybody to do it. All you have to do is unplug the unit, see if it kicks on and stays on. If it doesn't stay on, then you know that you've got a unit that if the emergency power is needed, it's not gonna be operational.
So what we need to do is get you, see where we're going and have the money, whatever we're going to do, put it all back together then.
I think one thing we could do tonight is make a motion that Wendy take this over.
I will make that motion. My first
Mayor,
ask.
do you think that
You can't
she
deny it.
should, that they should check with 911 first to make sure that we don't overstep?
Well, we're talking about 2 times a year, basically, that she would go and check those sites.
But Kimmy's gonna check with
Should
them.
911 be the one doing it?
No, this would be the best option. I mean, I'll ask, but
Well,
this would be the easiest, because it's under direction of mayor. So, they would not be.
I would put it this way, if the fire service on them, they'd already have insurance on them. I assure you.
Good to have the insurance on it,
the only thing if we've got county insurance right now, that's fine, if it would cover it. But when you're talking about 14-year-old equipment, they may not want to insure that. A new insurance policy may not. That's a possibility.
But when you consider the costs that can be incurred, if you do have a downtime, then the insurance is the only way to go. That's my own personal opinion. You as a body can make your own mind opinion.
So do we need to make a motion tonight, or are we waiting on Ginger to check for the insurance? Good.
You already. She made a motion.
I'm sure the
She's not on the committee. No, she can't.
I'll make a motion that we be appointed as the county point of contact for the, fire department radio system.
And I'll second
In a
that.
second. All for that, say aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, we'll get with you, hopefully get this thing straightened out. You got anything else besides that other?
No.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank County Mayor, Mr. Phillips, some of your other members that I've talked to that's helped to accommodate me, and I appreciate that, brother.
Appreciate you coming in, brother.
Thank you.
Appreciate your service.
Next will be the ambulance service. I see no one driving no ambulance.
Ernest, I need to talk about that one service.
She needs to talk about the ambulance service.
Okay.
Okay, as you guys can see, we've got some literature listed there as A&B, who is our collection of our receivables and all of our, with ambulance service. And then you'll see the email from Jim Reed, approving for them to write off some balances with AR. We are going through our state audit right at the moment, and auditors note that their balances did not match the county balances. And Jim Reed contacted them, we went back and forth, and we found out that on this date, May the 16th, 26th last year, he had given them approval to write off this $188,000. And according to our county policies and procedures, does not have the authority to do it. This body has the authority to do it. So state audit says they rather want you guys to approve for us to write this off, then they'll move on. If you don't, we'll contact A&B and tell them to put them back on our books.
Well, you're gonna play talk insurance now,
I'm
this,
sorry, what?
this money, this cash money is owed, or this insurance money is time.
Insurance, they went back, it was up to, as you see here, 2013, 2015.
Yeah.
It's not to do with the insurance company, it's to do with individuals and cash. And I looked at the report, and you guys are more welcome to look at it, some of them. And we have a lot of deceased individuals on that report. Just by looking at it, I could catch it as I looked at it. But it was 23 pages, so I didn't generate it, but they're here for anybody to look at.
Did you have a recommendation?
Audit said it didn't matter. If you guys decide to do it, then they move on with the audit. If you guys don't, we contact with A&B and tell them to put them back on our receivables. They said it's as simple as that.
I see the reason in here is that way they can focus on the ones that can collect from, so it makes sense to go ahead and approve this, and I'll go ahead and make a motion to do it.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone else? Is there anything else we could, anything else on our manager?
Well, I may be speaking out of turn, but I would hope that at this point that we've resolved with everyone not to respond to emails to give authority for something that they can't give authority for. I mean, do we need to have something? Do we need to have talk? Do we need to have, I just don't understand how this happens, that we have people who give authority for things that should not be given authority, and then we have to come back and do something like this.
We did this a few years ago, and Jim went through the normal procedure we went through. I don't know why, he's not here to answer for himself, but I don't know why he did that. Because-
Mary, this was done last night.
Where are we financially with the ambulance service?
Well, we discussed, I called the controller's office today. They are looking at our budget right now. And every year we go through and look and see if we need to do a trans lump. We've been building up our fund balance. 101 has held steady. We look like as soon as the auditor or the controllers approve our budget, Jimmy gets out the text notice says 101 is in great shape. We're not going to have to do anything. But we found out in August, the revenue in the ambulance service dropped. I did not have any revenue coming whatsoever. We were calling constantly up there, and they were saying, the runs are down. They called A and B, because I said, something's going on. You can't go to just blotto, no money. And come to find out with the Medicare, the license had not been renewed. And so the ambulance service had renewed their license, they just had not submitted it to Medicare. So we're behind on that. They're getting it renewed, getting it back in state. Medicare said everything's okay. But in the meantime, we have a slack on the cash flow there. So ambulance services very bottomed out, and it could potentially look at 101 having to happen through the month of September if their cash flow does not pick up.
So you're gonna use 101 versus coming out of the debt funds?
Well, if we do it through, debt service, we have to do in-trans loan and get it approved by the controller's office.
You don't want to do the transfer.
I'm hoping it will manage and be able to keep it up, and the money will come through. They said 15, 30 days. I'm being optimistic. In 15 days, their money will dump, because they have to go back and rebuild all those runs again.
Judy, can I ask, who was responsible? Was it A and B for getting the Medicare numbers sent in? I mean, once they got it done, or was it us?
That's a Jim Reed question. He handles it with A and B and submits everything to them, because he's the one that prepares the license every year.
Can I ask him for us?
I'll call him.
Has the budget been approved by the state?
As I said, when I first started speaking, I just got off the phone with him this afternoon, and Mr. Quinn said he was just looking at our budget. So I'm
I
hoping.
guess I missed that one.
Okay. And so I'm hoping in a day or two, they are going to send an email to our mayor, and we will be ready to go.
Anything else coming on this one here? All fair side? I'm through the ambulance service, and I will see it on that. Sheriff's Department. Motion to adjourn? Okay, I'm getting behind here. I got one coming in, doesn't leave.
Okay, moving on to Buildings and Ground Committee, Rick Russ, Chair.
Call Building and Grounds Committee order. Eric Newport here, Sheila Button. Here. Robin Newman.
Here.
Sam Miles. Here. Robin Spring.
Here.
Rick Murphy. Okay. First thing on your paper on the agenda is the mayor constable. Mr. Jefferson wants to speak about no jail, but actually, before we need to do that, I think that we had a proposal on the old jail before. I see no reason to carry that on any further. I'd like to entertain a motion to reject that proposal. You send forward to the full court.
Second.
Am I in order doing that, John?
Yes, that's consistent with the resolution that was passed that said that the committee would make a recommendation of whether or not to reject or accept the proposal.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Okay. One opposed. You opposed? I oppose.
I think we should go ahead.
Okay.
No loss anyway.
Motion passes, send this on to the full court. Okay, Mr. Jefferson, would you like to come up and what I'd like to state is, Mr. Jefferson would like to speak to us about what he'd like to see happen with OJL, and we've taken no action at all for this proposal is passed, or this rejection is passed through the full court. So, Mr. Jefferson, let's go.
I appreciate y'all's time, appreciate y'all listening to me. I know just about all of you, the ones that know Mr. Lyles and Mr. McBroom. Nice to meet you all. It's been something I've been thinking about for a long time, probably for the last 6 months, the old jail. I've sat and watched previous years, private entities try to purchase it for financial gain, whatever the reason was, I don't know. The former mayor even made a pitch for this jail. Don't know what the reason was that it was rejected then. What I can tell you is the town of Huntsville now is unified, and I'm talking about the mayor and board of aldermen. I've got one up here with me tonight. In restoring that building and preserving it. Now, we have no agenda. I don't have a big flashing gun that's gonna throw a big bang out there that will make $1 million. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking to hold on to some of our heritage, some of our history. That's something that can't be reproduced here or anywhere else. And that is special to not only the people of Scott County, but it happens to be in the town of Huntsville, which I'm mayor of. So that's why I'm here to talk to you all about giving me the opportunity to preserve it. As far as a plan goes, I've talked to Lindsay Crockett on the state level about grants. Grants are 60/40, which is very expensive. The biggest grant that they even awarded last year was $36,000. The thing with grant dollars is when you go to restoring a building that's on registry, the historic registry, you start restoring it like they want you to restore it. So a $36,000 grant may get you new lights put in. I don't know. What I can tell you is, although we're not rich in the town of Huntsville, we do have some funds available. We have some access to some, I would say free labor, but those guys in Morgan County Correctional, they eat quite a bit, we feed them well. But we have access to some labor to work inside of it. The one thing that I can tell you is, we don't have a big bunch of money to give for this building up front. That's just the plain just of it. Basically, and you all can put any kind of language on that you want to about securing it for the county, but the city of Huntsville wants to preserve this building. And I propose that you all would sell that building to the town of Huntsville for the sum of $1. Is that possible?
Yeah, intergovernmental transfer. The only caveat I would state is that, and I don't think it would be an issue, but with it being on the historical registry, there might be some things we would need to consider there. Don't think it would be a hindrance, but I would just need to check on that.
Lindsay, I had talked to Lindsay. She is the one that handles the historic building grants for the state of Tennessee. That is her department. And she has offered help in any way. She knows the building personally. And she wants to see it restored too as well. And that building, if we don't do something soon, we're gonna lose it. The simple facts are, if it wasn't built out of rock, it'd already be gone. Okay. First step would be to make sure the roof's sound. Second step would be to check for lead-based paint, asbestos, things that you don't think of, but you gotta consider. And you gotta get heat and air in it, or otherwise it goes right back to the same shape it's been in the past 15 years. After that, you get in some elbow grease, and we have some access to that. But once we can get it dried in and get it structurally sound and make sure everything's there, I've had Mike McIndoe with McIndoe and Fulgham. He went through with me. He's a structural engineer, and he thinks the building is structurally sound enough to try to preserve it. So that's why I'm here tonight. I just wanted you all to be aware that the town of Huntsville is very, very interested in that jail. I was talking to my mother about it, and she's 70 years old now. And she told me when she was 16 years old that Alma Waxton taught her how to make biscuit and gravy in that jail, cooking for the prisoners. That's stories that, you want to hang on to. I don't know if we'll do some tourism. We may have some tours on Saturdays and Sundays. We may do something in conjunction with the Historical Society. I've talked to Stephen. He's very, very interested in that as well. Gary Sexton with the Heritage Festival. He's interested as well. That's where I originally went into this building. Gary went in there, and I went in with him, and we were looking. Gary was wanting to do a haunted house for the Fall on the Mall thing that's coming up. And he said, basically, I can't take kids into an environment like that and be responsible for them. So that's where that went to. But that was the first contact that I had with the inside of that building. I will say this, for as long as that building's set there, it's built right. A lot of the keys still work, a lot of the gates, the sails still work. So it's worth going after. But for whatever reason in the past, I don't know, and really don't care. I'm coming to you as the newly elected mayor in November, as of November, and asking for a vote of confidence. Basically, like I say, I don't have an agenda. This is not going to be sold to some private entity. This will be something that will stay with the town husband. Okay? If y'all have any questions or concerns, I'm more than happy to address them.
You do have a lot of leeway with historical buildings that's on the historical register. Huntsville High School is on the historical register and then demolished it. There is a lot of leeway with that.
I spoke to Mrs. Crockett also a while back about the building. The thing about it is, to restore this building, to get grant money for this building, you can't go in and make apartments out of it. It's got to be restored back to original.
That's right.
To make it an historical building. So as far as going in and doing something otherwise, it can't happen if you get any grant money for this building.
The same principle goes with the restoration of it. If you state tax dollars, grant money, you fix it the way they tell you to fix it. It will have to be restored if it stays on the registry as a jail, because that's what it was built as. It wasn't built as a bed and breakfast. It wasn't built as a hotel. It wasn't built as anything else. Now, you can change all that, but then it takes it off the registry. The one thing about the grant process, the first step is to get the building on the registry, which a lot of people have trouble with. And this building's been on the registry for a long time. So that part's already there. Am I saying that we wouldn't try to get a grant down the road? We probably would. But right now, I think we need to spend general fund money, and let me say this the correct way, so we can make it sound. We can get the bang for our buck. We can make sure the roof's sound, we can make sure the windows are in, heat and air is in it, and we can go to work on it. If we start tying up grant money in it, they'll come in and they'll start telling you who's gonna do the work, what you're gonna get done, what kind of light fixtures you're gonna put in. And there's a lot of things that's not Eric correct in that jail. There was no elevator in 1904, okay? There was a dumbwaiter. I'd love to see the dumb, a lot of people didn't know what a dumbwaiter is. But there was a guy trying to escape out of the dumbwaiter. There's a lot of stories and stuff like that. You go up around the Blue Heron and you push those little buttons and they got these old people that tell these stories. You know, you can be creative. People would spend about half as much time being creative as they did being divisive. We could have some really good ideas, you know. But I've come this way to propose that to you all. Any questions, feel free to ask.
I don't have any questions. I will say this, though. I hope this is something that we will, as a board, consider. I think this is the way to go. I think this is a great option. And I think that, you know, I know I've heard Sheila and Jim talk about keeping it as a historical building and preserving it. And so I think this would be the time for us to allow that to happen.
And as we talked before, if we chose to do this, there would be addendums in there, in the contract, there'd be no subletting. The building's restored, there'd be provisions for what we can and can't do in it. Because as I spoke with you earlier, I probably ain't gonna be here, and you may not be here down the road, so we're gonna protect it for the people of Scott County, and we do it together as a town and a county.
I'm only assured of 2020, that's the only thing I'm sure of.
I had a question. I know that the rules for new construction, which is not, is if it costs more than $25,000, then you gotta hire a contract. You gotta hire architects, you gotta do all this kind of stuff to go in and do whatever design that has to be done. Are we gonna get into that kind of thing with the reconstruction of this?
Not if you can lay it down.
But you're exactly right. You're exactly right, Mr. Lyles. You could get a $30,000 grant and give it to somebody with a pen. and not strike the first lick of the building, and it still is not sound. You're exactly right. I see what your point is. That's why I say I wanted to stay away from the grant process right now. I want to work on that.
But I would say they're under the same rules as the county.
Yeah.
And if we build a building and it costs $125,000, we gotta hire an architect.
Yeah, but you just remodeling, you just sell.
But I don't know.
What are you prepared if this thing was to take place and as I said, no action tonight? When would you be prepared to start working on that building? And start getting the heat in there, start getting the roof fixed and things
Here's the
like that?
thing, the first step's the roof. You start at the top and come down. A lot of the windows are busted out, that have to be replaced. It does no good to have heat in there if the roof's leaking and the windows are busted. After that, it's pretty well dried in. Once you get the roof sound, the windows in, the heat and air on, then you can work on it. The thing I will tell you, the quicker it's done, the quicker I can get to work on it.
Mr. Bailey, is, what, and I don't know if this is going with the fact somewhere down the road, if this building, whether it's transferred or whether it's leased for $1 a year over a long period of time, would that affect as far as the town getting grants or being able to utilize it?
I think a lease would make it more difficult.
Well, I was curious, I wasn't sure.
Could you ride in it, maybe 50 years down the road, town house decide they want to sell it, that, has to get them back to the county?
Well, you could always put in a right, you could put in a right of first refusal.
I would vote for it.
I mean, I would have to put in some covenants. If the body was to convey it to the town of Huntsville, I would have to put in some covenants to, govern its historical, keeping its historical nature, giving the county the right of first refusal if there was ever a consideration that they would transfer it, that they could only transfer it in certain circumstances, but not sell it to a private entity, things of that nature.
The thing that you have to realize too is the town would need protection as far as their investment as well. Because I would be taking town of Huntsville money to fix it. So I mean, if you give it to me and I fix it and then for some odd reason, and don't get me wrong, this is not gonna be sublet or these.
It wouldn't be.
And I'm accountable to the taxpayers of Huntsville.
You know, on that, I think about, like say 50 years down the road, I'm sure you know, in there, think, oh, we'll come out and we get pretty much money for it, in the town, sure to sell it.
And you can put in the word in, of course, we can keep records of everything we spent, whatever, how that works out. I see your point.
Well, I think it would probably be a good idea, if you were to do this, that whatever you spend on it, it needs to be put in public record.
Oh, yeah.
So that both bodies can know what
Yeah.
was spent on it.
And Rick, why don't we want to take action on this tonight?
We can't, till this, our rejection comes on the last proposal, goes for the full court.
So next work session though, we can move
Yeah,
it
we can,
into.
yeah.
No, actually, in the meeting, after you pass it, you can make a motion.
Once we get to, let's do it next month. Let's work on this for our next meeting.
And here's the thing, just think on it, brainstorm on it a little. There may be something that comes up that we didn't think of, maybe something comes up that I didn't think of. Do we want to get started on it? Yeah. But it's been sitting out for 15 years, I don't think another month is gonna hurt it, it'll be okay. But, basically, I come here looking for a vote of confidence, that's all.
I just want to say this, I appreciate you wanting to take this on. This is something that needs to be done so bad. Just like there's so much history and it needs to be maintained.
Well,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think it'll, eventually it falls back on us. It's inside the town, it's right beside the courthouse, even the rock with that quarry. But the rock came out, the quarry was right here today. That's something that, can be reproduced.
The good thing about possibly this deal is that I spoke with Stephen, Mr. West on this, is that if they'll incorporate the historical society in, it all goes hand in hand.
Well, the historical society has problems too, and unless they're resolved, there's a big problem over there.
Stephen and I have talked a little bit about that, and the Doisy floor, the Doisy house, the floor is, we're so much weight in all that history and all those books and shelves. you can just about look at the floor and see that it's just about to go
We
through.
did have a bat problem, in order for people to go in there and try to work. It's just gonna have to have fans, curtain windows, pulling and blowing, because the sin is can't stand it. It's gonna have a problem.
So I mean, eventually, I don't know exactly what all, but we may be able to convert some of those historical files over to the old jail. Because the first floor would be, it's two large rooms. Of course, you have the booking room on the right, it's smaller, but the other two were living quarters for the sheriff and his family at one time.
Well, if you're combined, you're basically working with the museum, the historical society restored a piece of history in Scott County.
Yeah.
That's what at the present time, we don't have the money to do.
And here, I see that, and that's why I'm here. I just want to give you an opportunity to have an alternative, that's all. But my intentions are totally honest, and it's for the people of Huntsville, it's for the people of the county. So that's why I'm here tonight.
I would rather see our people here in the county have that, is coming in here and got what goes on.
The thing and I don't know this gentleman from Indiana, but the thing, what I could read about it was the county would have opportunity to purchase it back. Well, if he buys it for $25,000 and fair market value is $225,000, then you've lost a couple $100,000 when you get it back. Other than that, he's gonna sell it to whoever he wants to. So this gives us opportunity to keep it here.
I just want to say,
One of the
I
advantages-
appreciate you, and appreciate you all taking the step forward to do something.
One of the advantages to the town owning it also, Dennis pointed out, and I didn't hear all of it, but we would have to maintain the insurance on it as well, being one of our buildings. So we'd have to have insurance on it at all times.
And that would be part of the one of the covenants.
That would be one of the reasons you want to convey ownership to us, so we could handle all the expenses from it. Because when you put the heat and air back in, then you've got electricity again too, so if anything tears up, it would be our owners.
Well, I'm gonna say, if all ideas come forward, I think it's the best thing to keep it and to restore back the glory days in the 1900s.
But they don't make them like that anymore.
No, you don't find a lot of better.
The old courthouse is built out of the side, and the bank as well. But I mean, Hollywood can't buy that, you know? I don't care how hard they try, they can't reproduce it, so. We didn't try to hang on to it.
They have my support on it, so.
Mr. Jefferson, thank you, appreciate it, and we'll bring it back up.
Okay, appreciate you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anything else, anybody else have anything to come forward to this committee? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Okay, moving on to intergovernmental committee, Trent Cross Chair.
Call intergovernmental committee to order, David Day. Here. Ernest Phillips. Here. Patty Brown.
Here.
Jim Jeffries.
Here.
Ken Chadwell. Here. Mike Slade. Here. First thing on the agenda is the airport authority member appointments. Looks like we have another taxpayer of the airport authority and recommends to us that recommend you, Mike Foster, fill the basic treat of Roger Wright, do not wish to serve another term.
I'll make a motion to approve the recommendation.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I don't have anything else, anybody else does.
I do have something that I need to bring to the committee's attention. It was Tony Sexton, the property assessor, contacted me today. He is making a request. This would impact the town of Huntsville and the town of Oneida. Apparently, state law, in years of reappraisal, of which this year is one of them, the county commission can actually assess reappraisal charges to the municipalities within the county, and that would affect Huntsville and Oneida. The state law would allow the property assessor to bill municipalities at a rate of 19 cents per parcel, and that's for a 5-year period. So it would impact Huntsville to the tune of $184.87 for 5 years. That's for 973 parcels. And
Leave it to you, Robbie.
in the town of Oneida, that would be 2,681 parcels, that would be $509.39. Mr. Sexton says that's not a lot of money, but it would, he can get it, he needs every penny he can get. So, because years of reappraisal, he does have more transportation costs. This would go toward defraying those costs. So, county government has to implement it. So
That per year for all 5 years?
no, I think it covers the 5 years.
So it gets $500, $600
Yeah,
on that,
like you said, it's not a lot.
$200.
Yeah, but he will be here at the regular meeting to address any questions. But he wanted to see if y'all would send that to the full commission for your approval.
I make a motion to suspend the full committee.
Sorry, Mayor.
That's okay.
We just want to work fast.
I got a motion, anybody second it?
I do. June did.
You do. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion to adjourn.
What's this on this delinquent tax sales here, John, just, is that part of it?
No,
You have your hand?
I'll just provide a copy of that as well.
Oh, what, this last one?
I think Rick just wanted everybody to have a copy.
Oh, okay. We got a motion to adjourn. Second, all in favor, say aye.
We already have.
It already adjourned.
I did.
You were already adjourned. Oh,
Okay, moving on to the Community Development Committee, Robin Newman Chair.
Call the Community Development Committee to order. Aaron Newport.
Here.
Rick Rice.
Here.
Sheila Veteran. Gene Jackers. Trent Cross.
Here.
Mike Slavin. First thing on the agenda tonight is the monthly update on the litter program.
I'm going to have to apologize again, I don't have it yet. I was on vacation and sick last week. So, but I'll come at the full meeting next week, okay? Sorry.
Who authorized your vacation?
Ginger said if I didn't take it, I'll lose it. As of September 1, so I took it.
I don't have anything else for the agenda. Anybody else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Okay, moving on to the Budget Committee, Trent Cross Chair.
Do we have to run the budget committee? I'll call a board.
I just have a question about, you brought up Tony Sexton, his office short on funds. Did we put extra money in for part-time or no, or how?
Yes, you did. On Tony Sexton's budget, he had, in his part-time salaries, 4,000, and you guys put 3,000 additional. He has 7,000 in his part-time. That's
When the
what-
budget gets approved, right?
Well, it's in his budget.
Yeah, we put extra money in our first part of our appraisal year.
We're waiting on the budget to be approved.
But
He
he's,
can't, we're still under the old budget.
yeah, but he's got a part-time worker. So, but, and